So what is going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Dino. And Dino here is an intriguing Studio Series figure. He's the most recent one I've bought. And, I mean, yeah, he's just interesting. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this in the sweep review. This man has been shelf warming my area, like my entire... I have 3 Walmarts in my area. Every single one has the same stock of figures. That being the Voyager Studio Series is Sweep. 2 of them have Wreck-Gar. The Deluxe Studio Series are Bumblebee and Dino. And then I got Legacy Wave 1. And then I think 2 of them have the Velocitron shelf warmer guys, which is like, you know, your repainted guys, stuff like that. But Dino here is just really solid. Like, I didn't expect to like him as much as I did. I just kind of bought him to buy him. And he's really solid. Just looking at him, I love the design. I know that the headlights are technically supposed to be his chest, but I kind of like them on the shoulders. I also like how the rear fender ends up becoming his hip, which looks nice. I mean, looking at the figure, he doesn't have a ton of car kibble on him, other than the shoulder pads and, like, the thighs. And you turn him around, and his back's clean, too. Like, you got the rear bumper and you got the windshield, but I mean, there's still a lot of car missing. And then you lift up his arm and you find out, oh, that's where the car went. Yeah. As far as Dino goes, though, he comes with 2 accessories. Both of them are twins, and they are these arm blades that he kind of has in the movie that he waves around for about 0.5 seconds, because he is only in the movie for about 0.5 seconds. And he just is a guy. He exists. He does his thing, you know. Looks nice. Look at the head sculpt. It's as good as all the Studio Series figures' heads usually are. I don't think the Studio Series has ever let me down with a head sculpt. They all look amazing. He does have blue eyes. You might not be able to see it that well, though. You can kind of see it. But yeah, the really well-painted head. Everything about him. He's just well-painted. And, I mean, it just looks nice, you know? He just looks nice. Now, let's just look at the articulation. The articulation on Dino is not as good as I'd hoped. He does have a ball joint in the head, so he still can do everything the head usually can. Forward and back, outward, and there's also that. You got a double elbow joint, a swivel, a hand rotation, no waist, forward and back, a knee joint, a swivel, and no ankle tilt. So he's a little below the standard, but he does have a double elbow, so he makes up for the lack of ankle tilt. So there's that. But other than that, he doesn't have a waist swivel, which is a bit iffy. I don't really show where the arm-mounted blades go. There's ports on the bottom of his arm, as you can see, and they just kind of peg in there. That's where they go. That's all you do with them. I mean, as far as the robot mode goes, yeah, this thing looks like Dino, and it's quite nice. So let's just get into the transformation. So transform Dino, first thing you're going to do is come to the arms and remove his blades. But that's not the last thing you see, because they have weapon storage. That's nice. So what we're going to do here for Dino is you're going to pull on these bits here, and you're just going to wrench his torso forward like that. And then straighten out the doors, and on the doors, there's these panels that fold up, and you're going to fold them down. Like so. Once you do that, you're then going to come to the arms here, and you're going to kind of lift up on the inner torso. And that's going to start unraveling the entire figure. What you're also going to want to do is come to the back here and rotate the bumper around and straighten that out like that. It makes a really unnerving clicking noise. You're then going to pull that forward, and you're going to flip the bumper like that, flip that forward, and then rotate it around. You're then going to come into the arms. Oop. Now mine has that issue. I don't know where that went and shot off to. It's on the floor. Alright. So mine has a random issue where that wheel that just shot off is malformed. It is malformed and it's weird. It constantly shoots off, and I actually almost lost it at work when I bought them. I thought I was going to have to bring them back, but then I found that it was under my shoe. Yeah, it's really strange that it does that. It's not like it's a minor thing. Like, it shoots off with, like, the mere little bit of pressure that you put on it to try to transform them. And for the weapon storage, he has pegs in here, so right there. And they will peg inside. You can just put them straight. I think the instructions show you to put them on an angle. You can put them on a bit of an angle, like that. Just enough room for the head to stick in between them. And then you're going to take your arms. Make sure they go the right way. So the arms have to turn inward. And that double elbow, you bend it forward. You got to make sure the hands peg together. So the thing with this transformation is if the hands do not peg together, the alt mode is always misshapen. I don't know, someone's like, what do you mean? The hands pegging together is the most random, vital step to this transformation. It's just such a random thing. You'd think it's such a tiny little thing, it doesn't matter, but it really matters. Next thing I'm going to do is come to the head, and you're going to push it back like that, and then you're going to take this bit, and it's going to slide up around the hands and around the blades. And the head's going to go between the blades, like so, and that red bit there is going to go above the hands, and that is it for that. The hands on peg, they did. Okay, so this is where the figure gets a bit finicky. Is if those hands don't peg together or they unpeg each other, things start to go a bit weird. Like I mentioned, it's really strange. I've never seen such a tiny little piece of a transformation screw up a transformation as much as that, them hands being pegged together. So you're going to rotate the legs and then flip up the feet. You're then going to take the legs and flip them upward like so. You're going to make sure everything is in the correct spot. Here, you're going to make sure that the door pegs in properly to the side, so like that. So open it up. And then you're going to take the foot. There goes that wheel again. Almost just unpegged it. And then you're going to try to make sure everything lines up properly. If it doesn't line up properly, the figure will fall apart. It will. Now, I would recommend that you do the door section here before you flip down the bumper. But what I did notice was if the bumper is flipped down, there definitely is a lot more stability for the figure. And the bumper is probably the worst part of this entire transformation. The truth, that rear bumper, it hates to peg in. It hates it. It refuses, and I always feel like I'm going to break it, trying to get it into place. Because it does tab in. There we go. It's pegged in. Everything should be good. Everything's held in place, because that was the issue with the lag a second ago, is it would not go into place. You're going to make sure that the doors are fully aligned and in place. And there's some pegs on the feet that got to go into the little holes right there, and kind of see the little circular area. You're going to make sure the roof sits correctly. And there we go. After a bit of finagling, there's Dino in his alt mode, which isn't the Ferrari. It's not a Ferrari. It's close. I forget, I think it was Prime vs. Prime's review that pointed this out, but the kind of swoop there is actually reversed. On the Ferrari itself, it actually goes this way, which is cool. I like that they did kind of sneak the Ferrari details, but they just kind of changed it. One weird thing I find is this. I don't know why this is there. It's really weird. And like I said, it's just a nice looking model. Well, turning it over, though, there is an issue. Chest piece. I thought it was the feet initially. The figure don't roll very well because the chest piece drags in the back, which actually led to me having some scuffage trying to roll it. there's that. So he can't roll very well, which is kind of weird. Another thing, they did actually do some painting. He has headlights, and the rear lights are kind of painted. They're red plastic, but they painted the little black lines there to simulate the tail lights, which is nice. They also painted a bit of back here. They actually put paint in the guy. They didn't paint his windshield wipers, which they kind of had of. But another thing I mentioned, though, is the wheel. This wheel in particular, so like you just pop that off. No effort. Literally nothing. I don't know why it's malformed like that. This one pops off occasionally too, but it takes a lot more effort. This one here is also struggles to rotate sometimes. But it's just an interesting thing. As far as the alt mode goes, it is a nice alt mode. I do like it. I think it's a great looking alt mode. And it's a great compromise since they couldn't get the actual license for the Ferrari. So let's just get into my thoughts on the figure. So my thoughts on Dino. He's good, you know? I like him. I think that he is a good figure. And if he is shelf warming, I would recommend him. Unless you're not really collecting the movie figures, then I guess not. But if you're thinking on him, I would recommend him. He is good. He didn't let me down when I bought him. I thought I was going to buy him and be like, oh, you know, he's all right. His transformation really shocked me because it's really weird. Because he had me stumped out of the box. Like, I was stumped at how this thing worked. Because the car mode is barely there in the robot mode. And that's just weird. You know, it's a weird thing when you open up a figure and you're like, oh, where's the parts for the car mode? I pop the tire off again. So mine having that tire issue is a bit annoying. It's not a deal breaker, though. And that's just my figure. That's not going to be yours, most likely. That's probably just a my figures issue. And besides, I had so much luck with figures in the last few years that I think it's alright that I got one figure with something like that. I haven't had one like that in a millennium at this rate. Or it's had like a catastrophic defect. I haven't had any catastrophic defects. That wheel's not catastrophic. That's just a minor annoyance whenever it pops off. But I mean, just Dino himself looks great. And he's a figure that I know a lot of people wanted, so it makes sense for them to release him. But why is he shelf warming so hard? I don't know. Also, I think that they should have used this type of design for Sideswipe. That's all I'm saying. I mean, they could have made him red. Like, if they had a saved Sideswipe's name and made this Sideswipe, and I don't think anyone would have been, oh, I don't want to, oh, yeah, no, it could be Sideswipe, yeah, because it's red. But, I mean, he's good. So what am I going to give this figure out of 5? I'm going to give him a 3.5 out of 5. He is good. He's not the best, but he's good. And I like his transformation. I like the way the robot mode looks. I actually really love the door wings. The way that they're done. You can pose them if you don't like them. I never really pointed it out. If you fold down the bit store behind them, you can get them to go kind of really low, like that. But me, myself, I kind of like putting them high like that. There's lots of display options. The thing that sucks most about him is the lack of a waist swivel. His weapons suck. They're not good. They're not as good as I'd hoped. They're just kind of arm blades. And that's it. The alt mode's great. I do like it. And like I said, the transformation is a bit annoying at first, but once you figure it out, it's actually really fun. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Studio Series Dino. This has been Eilt Elite, signing out.